Good morning. We're not Darron Charity. I'm Tracy Buckingham, and this is Ian Ansell from the Canterbury Cycling Development Trust. We're a group dedicated to the development of all things cycling in Christchurch with a focus on youth. And just as a bit of background, we're a group that came together for the bid for this Centre of Excellence that was subsequently awarded to Waikato. So our long-term goal, longer than the long-term plan probably, is to have a velodrome eventually built in Christchurch. And we hope that we could do that in conjunction with council, with possibly engaging a corporate sponsor.
Was that the QE2 proposal?
Pardon?
Yes. Was it? Yeah. Yes. I know that very well.
Yeah. Yeah. So we want to also say that we totally support and reiterate everything that spokes have said. So we'll try not to repeat too much along those lines, but we totally support everything that they have said and stand for.
Right. Thanks, Tracy. Yeah, it's very much about supporting the philosophy of City of Cycles and doing everything we can to make that happen. We don't envy the city's task that it has. The main push for us, obviously, we are very supportive of cycle safety, cycle lanes. The design of those is critical. In some areas, they're actually more dangerous. You force someone up against car doors, or they end in the middle of nowhere and people are more exposed. So the design, so we're certainly very supportive of some good thought and consultation around that. So the main drive really for us around the cycle networks and the accessible city is the connectivity to make sure that the things work. Particularly we have some great assets in the city, Bottle Lake, Maclean's Island, and hopefully the Adventure Park. We need to ensure that these access ways actually go to those places. Kids can't actually get to Maclean's Island or Bottle Lake. They're all on the fringe of the city. It's very hard to get to. You have to have a parent, you have to have a vehicle to actually take our kids there. So we think there are some opportunities, perhaps with the red zone, with the cycleways to connect so people can actually easily and safely get to these assets. Hagley Park's a great asset. We live just up in St Albans, and my wife's too scared to let our kids ride to Hagley Park, which isn't great. You've got to go, Papanui Road, Beeley Ave, so there's some major hurdles there. Most of the roundabouts, we were talking before, the roundabout by the airport, you take your life into your own hands. Tracy closes her eyes and goes through hard and hopes she gets through. These things are actually quite scary, and often they're a barrier to get to the place you want to go to. So really, we'll just focus on a couple of points in our submission. That really is around the Adventure Park. We're very supportive of that because it helps with sport, right from introducing people to safe cycling in a safe area, and obviously there's hopefully some spin-offs around economic benefit for the city as well. So we certainly encourage, and I think in the existing plan, the cycleways network and the public transport network doesn't currently connect up to some of those assets. So we'd certainly like that to be looked at. The Denton Park, at the end of this LTP, Denton Park will be 50 years plus. And it has been mentioned before that it would be considered, a replacement would be considered in the LTP. I think at this stage it's really just around a bit of a patch up and repair. So we would certainly like to see that perhaps revisited. We think probably with some smart and innovative approaches to construction, or looking at some of the assets, the Metro, Ngāpūnawai, there's lots of money and resource going into those. We're not talking necessarily having to add more money to build something extra. There's smarter ways to construct and look at what we're doing that may make some savings. Most people look at a velodrome, they think, oh, it's 30 million. Well, we're not asking for an international class, we're asking for a regional level facility. The other thing with a velodrome is, much like Invercargill, in the middle you've got 4 courts. That's 4 basketball courts. If you were to build a 4-court indoor facility, you'd probably say that's $10 million. To build the velodrome by itself is probably, you could do it for 12 to 15. So you've got 4 courts in the middle. All of a sudden, the opportunity cost to get a velodrome might only be $5 million, maybe 10. And that could be saved on some other projects quite easy. And we're actually not just part of the sport assets in the city. A lot of it's about rebuilding what we lost. we're actually trying to say, what over the next 50 years, what would we want? What are we doing that's different? What are we going to do that's going to transform our city for sport and recreation, not just replace what we lost? I mean, there are Adventure Park, something that's new and different. Washington, fantastic. Washington Park for the kids, that's brilliant. Council done a great job there. Some of that could be, we cover over that, then it's usable when it's wet, it's not just a dry facility. So we think a wee bit of innovation, we can make these things happening. Part of our goal is to actually try and help, not just ask for money. We have access to some corporates that love cycling that we would like to work and partner and see if we can help get some of these projects across the line, which is effectively how we were set up initially to try and get the velodrome built. And if we can help and use our networks and try and get some momentum behind these things, we'd love to do that.
Well, I'm going to ask I'm going to ask this question of all the cycling ones. What do you think about the suggestion that we not reopen the section of the Summit Road currently closed to car traffic?
Tracy probably have a view. I think it's great. The cyclists love it. We don't want to piss off the road users either. Excuse my French.
That's all right.
But it may well be, the ideal would be that it's open just without cars. The other option might be the cars have one lane, go one way, and then the cyclists can whatever. But yeah.
I just love the idea, so I just want to, I'm trying to,
so do we.
Out of one submission, I'm trying to conjure a lot of support. Anyway, Tim and Glenn.
Just, I guess, starting at the grassroots and kids learning to bike. I know you hear about the velodrome, but off Memorial Ave we have that park which is like a wee roading network. It has a wee bridge and has a wee roundabout and things like that. And when I used to take my kids there to teach them, but I always kind of thought, well, we've only got one, and yet we're such a cycling city. We've had the Nationals here for years. Would you support another one somewhere else in the city? Because it's technically like McLean's Island. I take my kids to McLean's Island, but when they were really small, I took them there. And we had a couple more around the city, and raising that love for cycling at an early age, but also the safety aspects. I'd just be interested in your thoughts. Yeah, well, the little pump tracks and things are fantastic. And I was just at Hamner a couple of weeks ago, and there was the wee pump track there at the bottom of the mountain bike trail. So for the young kids, a lot of fun. Yeah. And they're very low cost. And we've got plenty of vacant land in the city, and even some temporary stuff. A working bee could almost set one up in a weekend. It's that sort of thing. Doesn't necessarily have to cost a lot of money. It's getting someone, and that's I think where we try and leverage. Can we borrow someone's digger for a day, and can we have this block of land, and we'll just try and make something, and little things like that. And they don't have to be; these things don't have to be high cost. We seem to be focused on high cost assets when we can do things, and they're done around the world, relatively or more cost effective, and you get more, and there's more things for the community to do. Sport users don't always want flash. They just sometimes they just want to be covered out of the wind and out of the wet. Yep. Things like the Edgar Centre in Dunedin, great assets. It was a wall store. All their sports indoors, low cost. They're not moaning because hasn't got a marble, front entrance way, or it's not heated. They're playing their sport sheltered, and I think councils can look at low cost solutions. We don't have to look at steel and bronze icons for everything. Thank you.
Yeah. Glenn.
Thank you. I'd like to trade my question for Vicky's, and she can pay it forward later because she's itching to ask one.
Vicky.
Know if you have a site in mind for this.
For the velodrome? Hornby's obviously an option.
Whereabouts at Hornby? At the current one?
Well, you could do it at the current one. I'm not sure. Could integrate with Ngapunawai. There's plenty of land there. It could be QE2. It depends where you want your indoor court facility as well, I guess. We don't have a firm view on that.
Glenn, you've got time. Quick.
Okay, it was
on
just
the metro
about,
side.
Thank you. Colin Merck's perimeter walkway, whether you would envisage some kind of connection through there which would incorporate Bottle Lake, etc.
Sorry, what was the first one?
Colin Merck's perimeter walkway, have you heard of that, and his vision to connect up all the...
it's a perimeter walk around Christchurch, around the outskirts.
Yeah.
But it connects the wetlands all the way around.
Yeah, connecting all those assets up and cycling and walk, we're very supportive of all that. Brilliant.
Excellent.
The promenade as well, it was in the paper yesterday, looks fantastic too. North Beach.
Does.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're going to get a thing. No, it's 17 seconds to go. I think we'll leave it there. Look, thank you very, very much. Jim Anderton.